If you love one-of-a-kind NHL jerseys, you know it pays to get to the rink early on game night. Sure, it's nice to beat the crowds, but every once in a while we get treated to some unique uniforms when the home team hits the ice for warm-ups. From player tributes to community celebrations and so much more, the pregame skate occasionally offers the chance to see your team in a special sweater. In this video, we'll take a look back at the best of the bunch from last season as Icethetics presents JerseyWatch, warming up in 21-22. As we get underway, I want to take a moment to thank the first ever official members of the Icethetics channel. Now, here's a special stick tap to each of my icon members. Your support makes the continued growth of this channel possible. And you too can become a member with a tap of that blue join button. Thank you again. Now, on with the show. They used to be a rarity, but these days, warm-up jerseys have become almost monthly occurrences for some teams. These are sweaters you won't see on the ice once the game starts, but before puck drop, they swarm the net, pose for pictures, and usually end up in charity auctions. Many warm-up jerseys originate with in-house creative teams and community artists, so there's room for a lot of interesting and unconventional designs. More than 150 different pregame jerseys were used across the league last season, so I can't possibly dive into every one of them, but I will try to show you all the good ones. Some warm-up jerseys are used league-wide. One example, and the one you've probably seen most often, is Hockey Fights Cancer, an initiative launched in 1998, first by the Tampa Bay Lightning. When the club's leading scorer John Cullen was diagnosed with cancer in '97 and ultimately forced into retirement, the Lightning used their platform to raise awareness and money for cancer research. The NHL took up the mantle and has since designated November Hockey Fights Cancer Month. As part of the fundraising efforts, every team wears a lavender-colored warm-up jersey on their designated night. The look is consistent from team to team, though the base template may change from one year to the next. Last season, the jerseys were white with two-tone lavender crests for each club, but they all have their own custom numbers and name bars. The Nashville Predators held not just one, but two Hockey Fights Cancer Nights, the first in November and the second in April, wearing the black jersey that was used a season earlier. November turns out to be a busy month for warm-up jerseys because there's another league-wide initiative, Veterans Appreciation Night, where teams honor those who have served and wear pregame sweaters styled after military uniforms. Like Hockey Fights Cancer, the style is consistent across all teams, while the template may be updated from year to year. Last season, the jerseys were in army green with monochrome black crests designed to look like spray-painted stencils. About half the league marked the occasion in November, on or around Veterans Day, while the other half selected dates throughout the regular season. There's one other warm-up jersey that's been standardized around the NHL, as teams go green for St. Patrick's Day. Last season, we saw at least 15 clubs dressed for some Luck of the Irish, but that wasn't the only holiday represented on the ice. The LA Kings brought the Christmas cheer in late December, probably the only time you'll catch them wearing red. And in November, the Vancouver Canucks hired local artist Jag Nagra to develop this unique look in celebration of Diwali. The yellow jerseys included custom logo treatments and player names rendered in a variety of South Asian languages. They did it all over again later in the season for Lunar New Year, with local artist Trevor Lai commemorating the Year of the Tiger by transforming the Orca crest. The New Jersey Devils also brought in a local artist. Karen King Choi employed traditional Chinese calligraphy to redraw the Devils logo, and player names were translated into Chinese for the back of the jersey. We also saw the Vegas Golden Knights get in on the Lunar New Year party with this jersey, designed by Brady Hackmeister and Matt McElroy. both of whom have been featured on the Icethetics channel. Some teams go beyond big holidays to spotlight other members of their fan bases that are often overlooked, as part of an NHL program called Hockey is for Everyone. The idea is to make the game more inclusive and drive positive social change. Each team does this in their own way, but one way it comes out is Pride Night. For some teams, it's a gesture as simple as rainbow-colored numbers or logos, or pride tape, while others go all out with specially designed jerseys. The Canucks and Devils once again delivered. They had outstanding tributes last year. The Orca crest got a colorful overhaul with an ocean of symbolism, while New Jersey went with repetition of the Hockey is for Everyone motto. The Golden Knights led with love. The Coyotes revamped the Kachina. The Sharks came up with a recolored crest. And the Kings revived a classic logo. One highlight from last season's Pride Night pregame threads was this one from the Seattle Kraken and local artist Glenn Rosenberg. Instead of building around the more common rainbow color palette, they focused instead on trans and non-binary communities for a fresh and distinct style. On that note, a few teams used warm-up jerseys to promote gender equality. For Women's Empowerment Night on March 15th, the New York Rangers wore purple with a fun logo treatment. The Kraken held their own Women of Hockey Night on March 19th, the one time I was able to be there for a special pregame skate with my camera rolling at ice level. And the Devils commissioned a custom crest featuring 5 Roman numerals, marking critical dates in women's history, from the 19th Amendment and Title IX to women's ice hockey making its Olympic debut in 1998. Another way we see this cultural awareness at work is in the form of Heritage Nights. Throughout February, a half-dozen teams celebrated Black History Month with special sweaters, some designed in collaboration with local artists, like this one from the Kraken. The Knights used a reverse version of their iconic V, which also doubled as a reference to the club's 5th season in the NHL. The Kings had a more colorful take, while the Devils delivered an intricate crest that celebrated their own milestones in Black history. But the jersey that really caught my eye hit the ice well before February, as the Buffalo Sabres honored Val James, the first ever Black American to play in the NHL. They hired Idris Wajid to build a look that was all about breaking barriers. In his logo, he swapped the team's traditional sword with the Akrafina, a symbol of valor native to Ghana, and incorporated the colors of the Buffalo Braves, a former NBA team who shared an arena with the Sabres in the 1970s. The NHL also saw a handful of Hispanic Heritage Nights last season. Arizona had this wildly colorful look as Los Yotes. New Jersey made a splash as Los Diablos. Anaheim used a gray jersey for Los Patos. And the Dallas Stars honored Mexican heritage with a green and red crest. Vegas resurrected a Dia de los Muertos logo designed in 2019 by Matt McElroy. They built on it this time by adding purple. You can hear the story behind the original project in a past interview I did with Matt. There's a link in the upper right corner and in the video description. The standout, though, has to be San Jose, who wore not one but 4 distinct jerseys as Los Tiburones. Each of the logos used had been introduced in prior seasons, and it was fun to see them all come together. Some teams have started offering their platform to indigenous cultures as well. The Minnesota Wild partnered with the Prairie Island Indian community to celebrate Native American heritage, wearing this warm-up jersey on the day after Thanksgiving. The Kraken honored indigenous peoples of the Pacific Northwest with a beautiful sweater designed by local artist Fox Spears, who was inspired by Karuk drums and basketry designs. Across Canada, a few other teams took the pregame skate wearing orange in celebration of First Nations and Indigenous peoples. Montreal's renowned CH crest was rendered in orange and purple. Winnipeg brought back their Indigenous-inspired logo, in use since 2019. And the Canucks debuted a new version of their Orca, along with a shoulder patch that reads, "Every Child Matters," in memory of the many Indigenous lives taken within the country's residential school system. Although warm-up jerseys often underscore happy celebrations, there are times when they're used to pay respects to those we've lost. The New York Rangers opened their season with a tribute to former superstar Rod Gilbert, who passed away in August. Players took warm-ups in their white road jersey with Gilbert's number 7 on the back. It also gave us a rare look at that white sweater with blue socks and blue helmets. Columbus Blue Jackets goalie Elvis Merzlikins saluted his friend, teammate, and fellow Latvian Matīs Kivlenieks, who died in a tragic accident during the off-season, by wearing his jersey during the pregame skate on opening night. And in a rare tribute, opponents came together to remember the life and career of Jimmy Hayes. To open the season, the Devils and Blackhawks coordinated their warm-up jerseys, with each team wearing his number and nickname. 2 weeks later, the Bruins and Panthers did the same, with a yellow shamrock patch for Boston and Hayes' number 12 on Florida's uniforms. Well, it's not all about tears when players get personal jersey tributes. A jersey retirement is always a career highlight, and is usually accompanied with a rink full of players wearing that famed number one final time. The Oilers all wore number 4 for Kevin Lowe, but kept their own names, which made for an interesting photo of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. The same thing happened in Columbus as Rick Nash's number 61 was raised to the rafters. Most of the time, players wear the number and name of the guy being honored, like Chris Pronger in St. Louis, Henrik Lundqvist in New York, and Pekka Rinne in Nashville. On Mikko Koivu's big night in Minnesota, Wild players wore white practice jerseys with retro numerals. And for Sergei Zubov, we got to enjoy these Adidas-made throwbacks for the Stars. And much like the Jimmy Hayes tribute, the Bruins and Hurricanes came together in honor of Willie O'Ree, as Boston retired his number 22. Not only did the home team wear his number, so did the visitors. There were a handful of other personal tributes last season as key players reached major milestones. When Ryan Getzlaf played his final home game after announcing his plan to retire, his Ducks teammates took the pregame skate wearing his jersey. After Rick Tocchet and Paul Holmgren were inducted into the Flyers Hall of Fame, players wore their jerseys during warm-ups. And in honor of 50 years as Phillies PA announcer, Lou Nolan got the pregame treatment too. And when Claude Giroux skated in his 1,000th NHL game, which also turned out to be his last as a Flyer, his teammates all wore black jerseys with his name and number. The Chicago Blackhawks did the same for Jonathan Toews as he hit 1,000 games. That's a lot of captains on the ice. Earlier in the year, when Marc-Andre Fleury was still a Hawk, the team wore his name in a salute to his 500th career win. The Blackhawks also celebrated a couple of legacy nights in honor of former players Andrew Shaw and Nicholas Chalmerson. The numbers on these jerseys feature photo galleries that highlight their acclaimed careers. For the rest of this video, it's all about one-off warm-up jerseys. We pick it up with a trio from LA. In November, the King's Care Foundation partnered with Undefeated to bring back some classic colors in an all-new jersey design. In February and March, they went full-on pop culture with jerseys that put their own design spin on Star Wars and Marvel Comics. The Canucks spotlighted the Hockey Talks campaign and celebrated community heroes with yet another redesign of the Orca. The Rangers honored their own everyday heroes and essential workers, as the Golden Knights wore red warm-up jerseys for first responders, and a big heart in appreciation of organ donors. The Blackhawks, Canadiens, and Blue Jackets wore and auctioned off these jerseys to benefit their own foundations. Nice to see Stinger make an appearance on the shoulder there. For Fan Appreciation Night, the Devils went all black with a simplified crest. And in concert with their arena's namesake, the Kraken and Climate Pledge held Green Night, wearing warm-up jerseys with a rather ornate crest. Occasionally I'll share concept art on Icethetics that crosses into other sports. It even happens for real in warm-ups from time to time. The Anaheim Ducks collaborated with the MLB's Angels for this one, including a shoulder patch that merges the two teams' logos. Here are the Dallas Stars mixed with the Texas Rangers, and the Carolina Hurricanes recolored their storm flag in honor of the NFL's Carolina Panthers. Okay, now we're getting to the really good stuff. On December 11th, the Coyotes held what they called a 90s throwback night. But instead of wearing a jersey that had any connection to the Coyotes of the 90s, they came up with an entirely new design that merges 3 different logos from the late aughts. That one always cracks me up. Just in time for Gasparilla weekend in Tampa, the Lightning came up with a very cool pirate-themed jersey for warm-ups. If only there was a good way to make use of that look in a game. And finally, perhaps the best warm-up jersey all season came from the Calgary Flames as they mark the 50th anniversary of the founding of their franchise with this Atlanta Flames throwback. There's even a small Icethetics connection to this jersey. Talkback crew member Mike Gould is credited with suggesting the idea to the Flames marketing team. So there you go. Want someone to thank for this? Thank Mike. And while you're at it, check out his Quick Shift video, in which he shares the best jerseys from his own collection and the great stories behind them. With that, we are done. Which warm-up jerseys were your favorite? And what theme nights are you looking forward to next season? Thanks as always for watching the Icethetics channel. If you enjoyed this video, try out the Super Thanks button, or just subscribe so you don't miss the next one. That's all for now. See you next time.